Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for your time. Of course, we're all waiting to hear if the President is going to address us. We understand it's probably not tonight, but hopefully within the next few days. Are you in a position to tell us when he might be speaking to the nation?
Not at all. As you may know, that it is a guarded secret what the Command Council normally announces. We were in a dark in terms of what is likely to happen. But what we do know is that there's an outcry there about the easing of the economy. We are aware that we have lost a number of jobs. We are being made aware that a number of people are losing their houses, they are losing their property, banks are repossessing. So there's really an outcry that in terms of the livelihood, we needed to try the balance between the life and the livelihood. That's what we know. As how government is going to respond to these issues is everybody's guess. But there are clear indications that you can't suffocate the economy for a very long time. At the same time, we know at no cost we sacrifice life. So it's a delicate balance that all the time must be kept in check. And the advice is to the government, the advice is to the economy, the outcry of our people have to be considered at all times.
Mr. Nchali, are you able to tell us whether through discussions at NEDLAC and with any other bodies that relate to the sort of joint consensus seeking around the best way forward, the position you've just stated, is that the broad consensus not only across organised labour and the unions but also within business? Is that what everyone is feeling? Is there a lot of people on the same page at this point?
In the meeting that we had today, chaired by the President, the question of the agency seems to be coalescing everybody that something needed to be done differently. One of the really concern that everybody agrees on is the question of the scourge of corruption. From the PPEs, from anything that we do, we seems to have a leaking element that whatever we do, we try to rubbish by our behavior. And everybody seems to be saying, we need to turn things around. It's within our capacity to do things. We need to move with the speed. So from today's meeting, and if there's anything to go by moving forward from tomorrow, is that there's extreme agents. Everybody else says, put your narrow issues aside. Let's put the country first. Let's not agree for an iota of corruption within our system, so that we can be able to move. So the sentiment that we are sharing, that everybody in the social media, is that we need all of us to move with speed, and I think we share that sentiment.
Okay, so there's more people on the same page, and of course a very strong call against corruption. One of the issues that I wanted to raise with you is I know that COSATU is backing Nahawu's call for a mass strike on the 3rd of September. This is around government's plan not to increase public servants' salaries despite a 3-year wage agreement. Now, we know that public servants' salaries are among the best in the world, and this is according to the Organisation of Economic Cooperation. They released a report just recently. They say that comparatively speaking, South African public servants are among the best paid in the world comparative to the size of the economy. You speak of sacrifice, you speak of putting South Africa first. Wouldn't it be putting South Africa first if public servants said, you know, like we've seen, many people are having a pay freeze. In fact, many people have lost jobs. We're going to scrap that agreement and we're going to agree to keep our salaries where they are until we are out of this terrible dark economic hole that we are in. Wouldn't that be the right thing for COSATU to do instead of going on a mass march?
The fundamental principles that we all uphold in South Africa included is the question of a genuine social dialogue, that there is no problem that is beyond being resolved, provided everybody comes to on the play honestly, genuinely, and be able to put everything on the table. What a trade union cannot accept is for government to mislead the other party, to negotiate in bad faith, to agree to an agreement, and Nicodemously, fully aware that there's an agreement, to make every means not to honor that agreement. Everywhere in the world, whether it's the United Nations, everywhere there are rules of the games that must be respected at all times.
So
What government did in relations to the issues of salaries, that they did it in bad faith, and the trade union have been saying to government, the first thing government that needed to accept is that there's an agreement. That's a starting point. Secondly is then to say, what are the challenges of not honoring an agreement?
I would put it to you that since that agreement was made, which was way before this pandemic hit this country, that all the rules have changed. All of us are sacrificing. Every single person has either lost a job, had a salary freeze, has conditions of work changed. And yet the unions are saying absolutely no change whatsoever. Wouldn't it be an incredible gesture to say, like the rest of the country, we're going to take a hit here as well?
The question of sacrifice has to be balanced, Sally. Everybody has to make a sacrifice.
I think everybody is making a sacrifice.
It is not everybody making a sacrifice. There are people, including in government, that for the current 2021 financial year, they've received increases. So it is not equal. Secondly, if you look to the public sector's wages, they are the missing middle that everybody speak about it. They are unable to enjoy housing benefit. They are unable to take their kids to schools. If you compare to than any other sector in relations to the COVID-19, they are making the sacrifice that nobody else is prepared to do. Despite all these things, the question of social dialogue is still open. The trade union has said, let's engage in dealing with those issues. The trade union will never turn its back on social dialogue because it's fundamental. We are here today in our democracy through the question of social negotiation.
So am I correct that I'm hearing there is a little crack in that door, provided it's a fair decision?
The issue is that's why the trade unions, for example, they never boycotted engagement in relation to the wage negotiation. Despite of all the bad faith in negotiation, they are, as we speak, they are still pursuing government to say, come on board, let's explore what's the best way of dealing with these issues of honoring the agreement. If we allow the public sector to do whatever reason, it means we're kissing goodbye the question of social dialogue. Zimbabwe, South Africa is going to be the Zimbabwe of tomorrow.
All right, well, thank you very much for your views this evening. That's COSATU's General Secretary, Becky and Charlie.